Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bond Armory. I'm Ray Crumpold and today we're going to take a look at a firearm that was used by not only one of the most notorious henchmen to appear in a Bond film, at least in my opinion, but it was used by two different James Bonds and appeared in two different Bond movies. But officially, it only appeared in Bond's hands in one movie. Does that make any sense? Don't worry, we're going to figure it out. Today we're going to take a look at the Walther P-5. So the Walther P-5. This is a firearm that actually has kind of a tragic history behind it as far as its development goes. It was first developed in 1977 and ran until I think it was around 1993. But the whole reason it was even developed in the first place was because in 1972, during the Munich Olympic Games in Germany, a Palestinian terrorist group known as Black September took 11 members of the Israeli Olympic team hostage. Ended up killing them all, along with a West German police officer. So West German police felt they were outgunned. They didn't have the firepower to fight the terrorists. They were still using leftovers from the war, chambered in 7.65 millimeter 32 ACP. I don't like getting into the caliber debate, so we'll talk a little bit about that later. But so they put out the contract. Walther ended up getting it. They borrowed parts from their Walther P-38, along with some technology from Browning, and developed the Walther P-5. As far as the Bond connection goes, I said that it was used by what I consider one of the most notorious henchmen in a Bond film, and that's Dario from License to Kill. It was Timothy Dalton's Bond era, so it was violent, has to do with the drug cartel. Young Benicio del Toro is a total bastard in that movie. You see the Walther P-5 very briefly when he's jamming it in the back, in the small of Bond's back. As far as the two Bonds that are using the Walther P-5, both were in 1983. We have Roger Moore in Octopussy, and Sean Connery in Never Say Never Again. Now, I said there was two different Bond films, but officially only one Bond uses it in a movie. Never Say Never Again isn't considered canon. Now, I'm not going to go into this. I am going to make a recommendation to you. Everything or Nothing, the untold story of 007, or the untold story of James Bond, I'm not sure. I'll post something on it. It is a great documentary. It starts off talking about Ian Fleming, meeting Broccoli, goes through all the different movies, all the Bonds, how they interviewed, how they met, why Sean Connery left, why he tried coming back. That's all covered in this movie. It is a fantastic documentary. If you're curious about the history of the Bond films, absolutely check it out. What I want to do next, we're going to do things a little differently. If you notice, I'm not actually holding a firearm. I've got some coffee right now. I told you, I said I had a love-hate relationship with this firearm. It's no longer in my collection, to tell you the truth. But I have plenty of access to it, and I have some stock video as well that I did, that we're going to talk about the actual function of it and all. We're not going to do a field strip this time. We're still going to shoot for accuracy, and then we got something a little different for you. The Walther P-5 is a semi-automatic, short-recoiled, lock-breech, single-action, double-action, 9mm handgun. It has an 8-round magazine capacity and weighs in at 1.75 pounds empty. It has a 3.5-inch barrel with an overall length of 7.1 inches and width of 3.1 inches. The Walther P-5 has a heel magazine release and a slide lock that doubles as the firearm's decocker. The frame borrows from the same principles as its predecessor, the Walther P-38, which is evident when the P-5 is fully field stripped. The barrel is similar to Browning's design, as it doesn't tilt when it's fired and stays parallel to the frame, which results in increased accuracy. The most interesting feature of the P-5 is its left side ejection port that makes it ideal for left-handed shooters. The overall appearance of the P-5 is very reminiscent of the Walther PPK, except it's much larger. If you're looking to purchase a Walther P-5 of your own, and you want it to be as close to Bond's as possible, Roger Moore's serial number is in the 015000 range. Now let's grab a box of ammunition, we'll head out on a lane, and shoot for accuracy. Alright, we're back at Free State Gun Range. We've got our target set out at 10 yards, and we're loading our first magazine. Now that's actually my first complaint about the Walther P-5. Now I'm not sure if it's this particular one, the magazine itself, but magazines are incredibly difficult to seat into the handgun. You really got to smack the magazine to get it in there. Definitely not going to be doing any speed reloads or anything fancy with this gun. Now, I will say it is really fun to shoot. The felt recoil is very minimal. It's extremely accurate because of that Browning design barrel. Another interesting thing about shooting the Walther P-5 is the sights itself. Now, your rear sight is just a blade with a white line, and then you have a white dot on the front sight. Now, when you're lining up your target, it's almost like dotting a lowercase I, and as soon as you have that in your sight picture, that's when you want your smooth squeeze straight back, and you'll nail your target. Now, here's my other complaint about the Walther P-5. If you notice, every once in a while I gotta adjust my thumbs and move my hand around and readjust my entire grip. And that does happen with other firearms, but just more so with the Walther P-5. And I think it has to do with the width of the grip. I'm not a fan of it at all. And that just goes back to the whole like, dislike, love, hate thing that I have with the Walther P-5. Down the road, I'm sure I'm going to end up picking another one up and putting it in my collection, but for now, I had to step away. Little piece of hot brass on my neck. There you go, slamming that magazine in to get it to seat properly. I will say this, I've put probably 1,100 or so rounds through this Walther P-5, and I've never had any type of malfunction. No jams, no failure to feeds, no failure to ejects, nothing. It is an extremely reliable handgun. And there really isn't a lot of muzzle rise. It is fun to shoot, I'll give it that. Now, another cool thing, I've mentioned it before when we were doing the close-up view, it has a left side ejection port. Now, I thought that might mess with me because I'm a righty, but I actually kind of prefer it. I think if more handguns were made with left-hand ejection, that wouldn't be a bad thing. And this is our last magazine, so we're about to bring in the target. Let's see how we did. Not too shabby. Looks like majority in the 10 ring and the bullseye. We got that one little straggler out in the 9 ring. There you go. So I said we were going to talk about the caliber debate, which you know I don't really like getting into. 7.65, 32 ACP. That's Bond's round from his PPK. The big argument that I get into with a lot of people in the gun world about the caliber is that it's not strong. They say it's not strong enough, and that Bond does ridiculous things with his gun. He shoots down a helicopter from X amount of yards away on a bridge with his PPK. How is that even possible? Well, Bond isn't going to Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods and buying off-the-shelf ammunition. He has Q-Branch. So I'm sure that those bullets would be, I mean, it's a movie, yes, I understand that, but in this fictional world of Bond, who's to say that he's not getting special rounds from Q-Branch? I'm sure that they have some special ammunition, that it's not steel ball ammo made of brass and copper. I'm sure it's something special. So that's how I defend that. One, it's a movie. Two, he's got Q-Branch behind him. But those amazing shots, those incredible, unbelievable things he can do with a round, who's to say they're not humanly possible? A friend of mine bet me a bottle of scotch that I couldn't split a playing card at 17 yards using the Walther P-5 in 9mm. We're talking about shooting a playing card on its edge. From 17 yards away, you could barely see it. It's almost like shooting a piece of dental floss. He was right. I couldn't do it, and I ended up buying him a bottle of scotch. But we moved that target in to 15 yards. This is the result. it split or did I pick it?
No, you split it.
Split it.
As soon as they lose.
If you didn't get it in the next 5, I was going to take it off.
Oh, you gotta do it again. So there you go. 15 yards, second shot, split a playing card on its edge. Probably the most difficult exhibition shot I've ever tried to do with a handgun. Now, some people could say that that was just dumb luck. I practiced enough at 17 yards, moving it into 15 yards. I had all my corrections down and was able to make it. I can assure you that's not the case. My supervisor, Drew, actually, first attempt out, first magazine, 15 yards, fourth shot, split the playing card. He actually did it before I did. It's an incredible shot, and it was a lot of fun to do. Unfortunately, I didn't win that bottle of scotch on that one, but yeah, there you go. Walther P-5, extremely accurate handgun, as long as you know how to use it. Again, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I have a love-hate thing, like I said before. Given the opportunity again, down the road, yeah, I might pick one up just to have in the collection. But as of now, I'm going to move on to something different. So until I see you next time, this has been Ray Crumpold from the Bond Armory. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Get it off!